Okay, so we're live with Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I still have to figure out how to add Rumble. There's some kind of thing I have to copy and paste, and it's not working out for me. So one day, my account will actually have something on Rumble. So we're gonna watch a video. That video is from the YouTube channel Now You See TV. Okay, so I can present the screen. Seen a couple of their content, and I think it's very interesting. So this one will be about a Native American chief that tells the secrets of ancient serpent mounds. And we've already seen, I have the pictures of that in my PowerPoint presentation. So we're going to kind of launch off watching this to occur on the actual video. I'll write down my thoughts, and then after, not just stopping it every second to add my 2 cents, and it just breaks up the flow. So wish me luck in doing that for you guys. Yeah, so credit is to this channel. Subscribe, give it a thumbs up like I just did, and away we go. Let's look. We have 5 people that have showed up. Just want to show you guys. I'm not sharing screen. Good. El Presidente. This is a Native American that's being interviewed, so it's really interesting for him to be talking about such things as watchers, star people, giants. All of these things are spoken about in the Bible, and it has touched pretty much all cultures. Have remnants within their mythology, religion, and cultures. So you can go check some of my previous videos, live streams. I often do live streams quite long sometimes on this subject because I'm just super interested in it. I find it really interesting, and I think there is some truth in it. Although, yes, I acknowledge there is mythology that can enter in all of these cultures. But it's very important to understand that in Genesis 3:1-5, this is after the snake deceived Eve, and then Adam ate, and then the fall happened, and they were cast out of paradise. God says immediately, though, I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your seed and her seed. He will bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. According to this verse, there will be enmity between the individual woman and the serpent who deceives her. The word enmity indicates a blood feud. So there is going to be the seed of the serpent. The end product of that is the Antichrist. We have the seed of the woman, that is actually Jesus. So obviously we have this battle, the godly against the ungodly. If you go check Genesis 6, it says, when humans began to increase in number on earth, and the daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. These Nephilim, who happen to be giants, were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them, and they were the heroes of old, men of renown. So all of these heroes of old, we can look in all sorts of culture. Look at the crazy, hybrids and stuff like that you see in Greek mythology, this mixing of animals with other animals, of human with animal, manipulation of the actual plant kingdom as well. We know that when the Nephilim were in Canaan, they came out of there with grapes this big. The spies brought back. They were able to completely destroy God's fingerprints. God's handwriting behind all things is DNA. So they know that you want to screw with the computer code. Like you want to screw up a computer, you can try like tapping very hard on all the things, or you can go and you can completely ruin the program and mix up the zeros and ones and stuff like that. And that's exactly what Satan was trying to do. So if we're open to this narrative, which is supported and supplemented by the first book of Enoch, which is a book that is not canonized or inspired, but that it's not considered a forgery or a hoax or anything. That was just decided that for certain criteria of acceptance, when they decided to put all the canon together, that it wasn't in. But Michael Heiser, academics, all use this. It is first book of Enoch is a book that really just gives additional information and context to the inspired word. Why was the inspired word so vague about Genesis 6? Yeah, there's sons of gods. They went and had sex with the ladies. There's giants everywhere before the flood and after. All right, off we go. Abraham was up, and you're like, whoa, like what's up with this? This is really weird. And because of this, Christians in the past have said, oh, the sons of God, they're just, Israel, they're God's people. And you're like, Israel hasn't even been created yet at this point. So anyways, the sons of God, okay, are called Bene Ha Elohim in Hebrew, and that is sons of God. We look at Job, sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came along among them. The Bene Ha Elohim are sons of God. They are angelic beings. They are there in the divine council. When we see the word Elohim, it is sometimes attached to refer to Yahweh, the Father, Yahweh Elohim, but it is also just a description that if you are a Elohim, that you are a creature that dwells in the spiritual realm. Okay, so Elohim just means basically a spiritual entity, you could say. So Yahweh has his throne in the heavens. So he's a Yahweh Elohim, but there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times if you do a Elohim word study that it shows up, and you'll see it's talking about other things than God. When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Just don't forget that when it comes to stars in the Bible, they might be talking about actual stars, but it is as well. It is a symbol of angels. Okay, so when the morning stars sang together, when the angels, okay, they shouted for joy. This was when they were looking at, I believe, the creation of the world, which is created by Yahweh the Father through Hakma, the Word, right? The Logos. That's why let us make man. Let us. Yahweh is always talking to his eternal Son. Hey, let us go do this. Perfect. So the Father's will is to do that creation, and he does it for the Son, through the Son, by the Son. Everything is for Jesus. Anyways, don't want to get too much into this. We want to get to the study. Also, just an additional supplement to the first book of Enoch, guys. Here we see the spectacular spider goat. Meet Lily. an amazing spider goat. Lily doesn't climb walls or wear a mask, and she wasn't bitten by a radioactive spider. Her spider DNA is no accident. She was born with it. She is part of the herd. Sorry, I'm just looking for something. She is part of the herd of about 40 transgenic, BELE, and Saanen goats with a spider silk gene in their genome. Because of that gene, they create the protein that makes up spider dragline silk as part of the milk. So it's in the milk. The protein can then be extracted in a lab, used to make anything from strong, flexible, bulletproof vests to a better way of transport life-saving vaccines. There goes my video, a strike. Google, I think it's wonderful. I agree, they're life-saving. I'm just reading an article. Because of that, okay, blah, 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 blah. It'll improve happy, healthy stuff. She may not know she is a super goat, but that doesn't stop her from saving lives. All of this this transhumanism, this gradual implementation of more and more digital hardware onto and inside our bodies. This is going to happen. The World Economic Forum, Yuval Noah Harari talked about that. It's just a biological algorithm. He goes, the AI will know you more than you know yourself. And, it can look at facial recognition. It can look at every single thing to the point where you will probably get to, like in those movies where it's like there's thought crimes. There is a movie where they arrest people because they see the future. So they go through a portal to stop the person before they do the crime, but they're still punished for doing it, kind of thing. It's like, it's like, even if you completely, like, a lot of people just have to not give opinions right now. There's so much stupidity, insanity, and craziness, out there. But what if at one point you're getting smacked on the fingers like that because all of a sudden there's been a report that your eyes were squinting this way, and body gestured meant that you didn't agree. I'm just throwing these fantasy kind of things out there, but I mean, at this point. So the first book of Enoch, okay, don't forget, it's quoted by Jude, like verbatim. So there was a respect for the first book of Enoch because it's quoted by people. Jude. Now, I just didn't want to jump over the book of Yasher that we just saw here. That's what when you go to the book, ancient book of Yasher. Okay. I found it here. I had trouble finding it, to be honest. It gives the recount pretty much again, very similar to the timeline of Noah's time and everything. Not much additional is added. But we do arrive, and it says, and their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men and took their wives by force from their husbands according to their choice. So here we see it's more along the RAPE. They're not taking them in marriage. Although I think that there would be some women who would want to have that because of a social status, but it didn't matter if these fallen angels, the judges and rulers referred to, which would likely be Elohim, because if you look at the word judges and rulers, sometimes it's also known as Elohim if you go to Blue Letter Bible to check the Hebrew meaning. So the beasts of the field and the fowls of the air, and taught mixture of animals of one species with the other. in order therewith to provoke the Lord. God saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, for all the flesh had corrupted its ways upon the earth, all men and all animals. So this is kind of as well interesting. So what they're saying here, sorry. So yeah, Book of Asher adds on that they were creating hybrid animals. This fits in with Greek mythology. It fits in with a lot of other cultures once you check into it. So I thought that's super interesting. And a lot of this stuff will be good. It's done for the good. So we will be able to. I am not making a statement, YouTube. I am not claiming this as fact. I am just fantasizing about a future movie. What will happen is they have the ability probably to start using, let's say, things like pigs. Like we can technically use certain organs of pigs anyways. Even pig valves can be inserted. But what if you can create pigs? This is their mentality. Create a pig that has more and more human genes, so that that pig can be raised and the organs harvested, and they could even inject a person's specific DNA into that pig embryo, so that while it grows, that pig, they're able to harvest it. And the hope is that there's less rejection because it's already being recognized as somewhat genetically similar to you and stuff like that. So I don't know if this is a real ear. I don't know if this is fake off YouTube. So yeah, the Nephilim, a race of giants said to have dwelt in pre-Israelite Canaan. Okay, so it relates that the sons of God, divine or angelic beings, took mortal wives. Verse 4 continues, it was then and later too that the Nephilim appeared on the earth, when the divine beings cohabited with daughters of men who bore them offspring. They were the heroes of old, the men of renown. This could mean that the Nephilim were contemporaneously but not identical with the offspring of divine beings and earthly women who were called Gibborim. So the above translation, however, follows an ancient tradition in equating the Nephilim and the Gibborim as offspring and humans of angels and mortals. Also, we can often refer to not as angels, right? Half son or daughter. We see this in other nations. I can just say it is 100% sure. This backs it up. And the angels who did not keep their first position of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness and bound everlasting chains for judgment on the great day. In a similar way, Sodom and Gomorrah, the surrounding towns, gave themselves up. So they're saying, in a similar way to you angels, Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding towns, they gave themselves up to sexual immorality and perversion. They serve as an example of those who suffer the punishment of eternal fire. So it's supposed to be an example for us. But what I'm saying is, and the angels who did not keep their position of authority but abandoned their proper dwelling, that's when they descended in Genesis 6, mated with the women. This became a genetic wasteland of creatures that were not supposed to be created. And it created, obviously, they overpowered, they were large, and they ate up the land. You can imagine somebody who's like 7, 8, 9 more. And, we can do a study about known heights of some people. What's happening now is it was it was very interesting archaeological evidences. You can see it in newspaper articles and stuff. But suddenly, at one point, when academia hung on to Darwinism and stuff like that, the Smith, even the museum, the Smithsonian, I can't say that word, Smithsonian, that were collecting them from people, it's disappeared. It's kind of like Indiana Jones. Is it somewhere like packed in, this huge thing in Area 51? I'm not sure. Um, so here, just to show angels and human offsprings. Then the champion came from the army of the Philistines named Goliath. Okay, we know Goliath. Okay, the height was 6 cubits. We have Ishbi Benob, who was among the descendants of the giants. The weight of whose spear was 300 shekels of bronze in weight, was girded with a new sword, and he intended to kill a David. Now, you're going to see in the interview with the Native American, he has these huge, at least one, a huge spearhead that is collected, and he talks about the legends of the giants. Giant clans, then these all like rats, okay, came to the land of Canaan. God promised Abraham, okay, that his descendants would be as numerable as stars, and that this would be the land of milk and honey. This would be the land that he would give the nation of Israel, and eventually it would work out that he would be their king, and Jerusalem, all nations would pour towards them. So it's quite normal that the rebellion and the demonic forces are trying to go, and God says he's going to plant them there. Let's all go there. Then they had to deal with all of these ruthless conquests. Some of them were quite ruthless, meaning haram, just kill everything, child, animal, and stuff like that, which is hard morally to justify unless you realize that the Raphaim, the Emim, the Anakim, Horim, Avim, and Zinzum, yes, being like literally just continually killing, raping Israel and stuff like that constantly. So they do deserve, okay, as a tribe to be wiped out. But the other thing is they are tainted DNA. That's why they gathered together and they were eliminated. Those were the tribes God commanded the Israelites to ruthlessly slaughter. The Emim, a large and numerous people, as tall as the Anakim, had formerly inhabited Moab. Like the Anakim, they are usually reckoned as Raphaim, though the Moabites call them Emims. So there's a lot of names in there, but it's about a isolated tribe of descendants of giants. The first wave original Nephilim giants seem to be insanely large in the pre-Diluvian world. They seem a little bit smaller. Okay. All right. Deuteronomy. Yeah, you have King Og of Bashan. He was the last. He was left of the remnant of the Raphaim. Behold, his bedstand was an iron bedstead. It is in Rabbah of the sons of Ammon. Its length was 9 cubits and its width was 4. Okay, we get the point. There's a lot of stuff about giants in the Bible. It's not just about Goliath. And this is an underlying issue. So it happened in the pre-Diluvian world. This Nephilim, angel human tampering and genetic manipulation happened again in the Old Testament after the flood, and during the conquest they were defeated from the land of Canaan. But now we're going to see that there are people that are on a completely different continent that are telling us very, very, very similar stories about these giants The orange-haired double row teeth giants with 6 fingers and 6 toes kind of thing. I think that it's very important to. I'm not going to go too much through the genetic stuff. I'm just going to let you read because I don't want to strike. Yeah, so we're going to start very soon, guys. The actual Native Americans. Don't even talk about giants in Lovelock, Nevada. The jock of a human compared to of these giants. DNA manipulation we've gone through. Here are articles: strange skeletons found, giant skeletons found. Great excitement among anyways. Wonderful discovery. Largest skeleton ever found. This is 1908. New York Times, May. Giant skeletons found. Cave in Mexico gives us bones of ancient race. And all of this was kind of normal. I know this one is real. This guy, because Queen Elizabeth. There's an old picture. Now, see this gentleman here or lady is no longer in museums. They removed it. More giants. Then we have to get into how everything starts connecting with it. Look, we're gonna see elongated skulls. We're gonna see elongated skulls in Egyptian royalties. We have skulls with enlarged volumes. Okay, we have the red-haired giant over here. We have abnormal on non-human. When it comes to archaeology, Egyptology, very secularized, and this stuff is hush hush. This is not to be acknowledged. We see the importance and influence of these fallen angels or angel offsprings, to say more clearly, but we do see head bindings. So what our culture usually does is imitate the idols. They have an idol that they worship and they act like it. We see this now. Secular people, they worship, whatever they worship a rapper, worship somebody else. What do? They start trying to look like that, acting cool and stuff like that. So we always choose something to idolize, and God knows that we have no choice but to idolize something. And he goes, yeah, because you're supposed to idolize me. You're supposed to worship me. So he knows that we get in trouble and it hurts us when we don't worship what we're supposed to. He made it that way. That back and forth. He loves you and he wants you to love him, but he doesn't want you to be a robot. So he wants this to really come from you, kind of thing. But when we withdraw from God, then we have to worship and put our heart on something else. And because we're not made to function that way, we hurt ourselves. Little squiggly guys, is this artistic rendition, or is this really, what their faces look like with these odd slants? These big hats, are they just like the Pope? They just like to act like pagan Babylonian demons, or is because she got a big head, a big head, little elongated Is this a normal size and those are giants, or this is a little squiggly guy? You see it better there. Gilgamesh, huge giant. All the art in Egypt, giants, giants, giants. Who built the pyramids? I think that it is fallen angel technology and it's Nephilim architecture. I, 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 I'm using that from L.A. Marzulli. You can go check him out. That's his catchphrase, but I always believed that. I was always like, they're saying that it's almost impossible for these slabs to be moved and stuff like that. But if they have fallen angel technology that's being given to them, and they have the manpower of giants, then this, there you go, the height of a giraffe. We're not going to talk about that. The best guy for the elongated skulls of Peru is Brian Forster. So you got to give him credit and go see Hidden Inca Tours or Brian Forster. He does very good videos. I think that he's legit. I think that it's worth he's being ignored, right? Probably. Community wants nothing to do with this. He's just talking about processes of deformation over here. All along, this practice was being done here. We're going to get to the Serpent Mound because the video that we're going to start is exactly about the Serpent Mound. So the Serpent Mound may have had a spiritual purpose, given that the many native cultures in North and Central America revered snakes, attributing supernatural powers to the slithering reptile. So before we get on to the temple, before we get on to this, all right. Okay, so listen. You have Yahweh, God Almighty, right, and the eternal Son. Second. And the Spirit create the angelic realm, creates the angelic realm. There is a rebellion that happens. That's the rebellion of Lucifer. So that is one situation that he has to deal with. Now, after his rebellion, then he still has access to heaven for now, and he still has access to humans. That's why the devil can whisper in our ears. All that to say is in Christianity or Judaism, so the Torah, which I believe is inspired, and then the New Testament, it is very clear about the serpent, the symbolism of the serpent, seeking serpent knowledge or wisdom, that in the Bible, the serpent is bad. In the Bible, the serpent offers to open up the eyes, right? You'll open your eyes, and we can go to the actual reading of it, but he basically deceives her, but he tempts her by saying, no, actually, if you eat this, your eyes will be open, and you'll know this, and you'll know that, and you'll be like God. So what happens is he is doing something where he's going to tempt us with knowledge, but that knowledge is apart from God, and it doesn't matter if you don't have God. Doesn't matter what knowledge you have. You're not saved by that knowledge. Now that's a completely different doctrine than the Gnostics, who actually believe no, it's actually the knowledge that will save you. It says I have a blurry connection. Oh yeah. It is blurry, eh? 2 seconds. Just put the quality, higher quality. It's clear. It's clear on my computer when I'm looking. Okay, I'm gonna disconnect this. Could it be the streaming? Could it be just the streaming? I'm streaming on too many platforms, maybe. Thanks for letting me know. Well, for now, let's continue. Because I'm looking, yeah, I'm looking on my phone too. It's definitely blurry. Do you mind? I'm just gonna. Okay. Like that. I'm gonna go out of the studio and I'm gonna come back in. And I'm back. Still blurry. Yeah. No, it's because the Wi-Fi is 100%. So I knew it was not Wi-Fi. So it's either a dirty lens or maybe it's straining because I have a 3 streams going like on Twitter. That's what I think the problem is. But it looks better. So let's continue. I lost my train of thought, but let's just let me go through something. Yeah, okay. What I was trying to say is, simply put, the serpent, okay, is the devil, is not viewed as something that is good in Judeo Christian. Okay, it's not a good thing. But if you look outside of that, all of the religions that have serpents, the serpent is good. The serpent offers wisdom. So we can go down, and this is obviously not complete whatsoever, but it's just to show you the overwhelming. The serpent, has been working throughout the ages, offering secret knowledge, and Gnosticism is you have to be initiated, you have to have secret wisdom, it's hidden, it's for the elect, things like that. So let me go over here and share. So it to me it gives more validity to the Bible, saying the serpent is evil. Now we know that the Bible says that all of the other nations, at one point he gave lesser deities, meaning sons of God, Elohim, judges and rulers. Okay, Elohim. He put them over the nations, but he said, "You guys will minister." Okay, the nations, they've rejected me, but I will take a person. I will make a nation out of that one, and I will bring them to completion for my purpose sake. But for those other nations that refuse me, here you go. Like they're angels, but the angels were supposed to be representative of God, but again, they fell. They have free will. They sought worship, and therefore, this is where you see all of the nations think that serpent is amazing, and and you just got the Christians that are like, pretty much no, that's not a good thing. So some examples of gods of serpents: Kukulkan, the feathered serpent, god of Setek Maya. There's Shisha, the serpent god in Hinduism. Yig, the father of serpents in the I don't mythos, who can transform and destroy enemies. We're all more well-known Quetzalcoatl, the plumed serpent. So lots of serpents, serpents, and also dragons. And Satan is referred to as a serpent, sometimes as a dragon. So I didn't, spend days. Okay, I'm going to make a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to search out every single, culture that has a snake or a dragon to show that it's prevalent everywhere, and that snake and dragon is the same snake and dragon that's showing up in the Old Testament. If it's not Satan, it's the angels that rebelled with him. All right. Yeah, sorry. So showing China all the dragons that put the altars were offerings and stuff like that. You got Quetzal, and Quetzalcoatl is a tail feather of the Quetzalcoatl bird, and Cautl is snake, the feathered serpent, one of the major deities of ancient Mexico pantheon. Okay. With the immigration of Nahua speaking tribes from the North, Quetzalcoatl cults underwent drastic changes. The subsequent Toltec culture, centered at the city of Tula, emphasized war and human sacrifice linked with the worship of heavenly bodies. Again, it's like, yeah, they're gonna have a version of salvation in a way too. So no, here the word of God, the eternal Son, comes down and is sacrificed for our sins. Here it's like, no, the fallen angels playing gods here influence them to create human sacrifices. Okay, part of the worship. Just, you know what I mean? Kill yourself for God instead of saying God died for you. Okay, we'll leave it at that. We have as well the Kundalini serpent, which is a raging. This is old. It's Kundalini serpent. It has to do with the chakras. And yeah, so there's serpents, and this in the Eastern. So you have the Kundalini as well. It's a meditation where you meditate, and this serpentine Kundalini called energy from the base of your sacrum, your coccyx, the lowest chakra, and it is supposed to ascend through the various spiritual centers until it enters your pineal gland, or the last chakra, that ever unfolding lotus, and then you have become a conduit for the serpent energy. You've been enlightened. What has this Kundalini serpent done? What does a Kundalini serpent do when it is raised to the top? Right? It gives you knowledge apart from God, just like the snake was offering. Did he really say that? We can go and read it, but it's quite clear the nuance that he did. But for brief, to get to this faster, let's talk about Gnosticism. Gnosticism as well. Gnosis is Greek for knowledge. So Gnostics, okay, they want secret knowledge, and they say that there's a higher God above Yahweh, but that Yahweh often they'll say is evil. Okay, he's created, and that the physical realm is his creation. It's evil that they have to escape. But again, Gnostics try and have salvation through secret knowledge, and the serpent in the desert, the serpent in the garden, gave that temptation. Here, you can have more knowledge, and your eyes will be open apart from God. You don't need to listen to God. You just have to open this, and then you'll know. Which is sad because they were already in communication with God. They would have known all things in a way. Not going to get into like, oh, well, God knows that the minute he did this, that these things would happen. Yeah, that's for another discussion. Just want to keep it kind of on this and then the serpent video. What does it say here? So here's a question. So what kind of angel was Lucifer? Again, Satan, is that his name? Look, we all know we're talking about the devil, Satan, Lucifer, the serpent, the dragon. We all know that it's the same person. But Lucifer was he wasn't an archangel or just a simple angel. He was a cherubim, and these cherub angelic creatures are quite different. They have many wings, and they are usually surrounding the throne of God, covering the glory. There's various things that they do. Some of them have, a face of a man, a face of a lion, a face of an ox, a face. So they have 4 faces. They look like pretty impressive creatures and stuff like that. So there's also, you should look into, there's cherubim, and it seems like a sapphirine is a version of a cherubim. But when you look into sapphirine, you see that it is referred to as an angelic creature as well, very similar to the cherubim, but that it is a flaming creature. It is a creature that is flaming. So we have this this kind of, here, I'll show you. I'll try and find it. Ezekiel. It's in Ezekiel. This is me just kind of brainstorming when it comes to like Satan and what I'm talking about right now. Here it says, Ezekiel, thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the fire. Why don't we go to 28 complete? Whatever. Okay. I don't want just 28:14. I want the whole thing, and it's not working. Okay. Yeah. So here, thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering: the sardius, topaz, and the diamond, and the beryl, and the onyx, and the jasper, and the sapphire, and the emerald, and the carbuncle, and the gold. That workmanship of thy tabrets and thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways for the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. But the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou have sinned. Therefore I cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub from the midst. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty, pride. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before the kings. That's in Armageddon, finally at the end. Thou hast defiled thy sanctuaries by the multiple, okay, and it goes on and on and on. But so we know that he is a cherub. Okay, I think that he's a sapphirine as well, a flaming cherubim that is serpentine. So I think it's normal that he will function with serpentine. So it to me, it's backing it up. It's like, wow, this is what the Hebrew scriptures say about the serpent. This is what the New Testament says about the serpents. Okay, let's go out and see what other people will say symbolically the serpent represents. We got the Kundalini, like I said. We got snakes on planes, guys. We got snakes everywhere. Right down to, you got it, the Vatican. I have these actually somewhere already, but I didn't pop them up, so it is what it is. Showing you the Vatican stuff, just quick. It all starts coming together quite rapidly. Okay, so okay, here, quite obvious. This building is shaped like a serpent. The outside looks like a serpent also. What are you doing, Vatican, with that? How can you justify that? You can't get around that. Okay. All right. There's that one. Yeah, you can come by if you need. All right, here we go, guys. This is as well. This is behind this throne room. That it looks like the pits of hell, just like demonic, dark hordes of hell coming out with this Jesus that doesn't really look anything representing God's divine glory. The hair is purposely made to look like it's flying on the side here, but it's a darn snake. It's a snake, guys. There's a snake. There's snakes everywhere in the Vatican. And I'm glad I didn't share it. Here you go. There. Snake right there. What else can we get? And there's a lot more. The symbolism. Here, you can see the whole, what it really looks like here. See what I mean? Yeah, so look at this here, and Does this look like something that should be that's Christian? That's a symbol of a future reality? Because I don't know. So there's full of serpents in the Vatican, and all of these key players play some part. In the end, it'll start probably becoming a little bit more obvious as time goes by, piecing the things together. All right. I'm just closing tabs. Then we will get started.
So she's awake. She is downstairs. We're
Yeah.
try to be as quiet as possible.
Yeah.
But she's got a very big 2-year.
All right. So we got, let's go to the comments section first. It says, can't post comments to some destinations. Learn more. Well, I'll do my best. So Kai is in the house. Darla. LA is over. Yeah, the Spider Goat. Welcome Kai. Welcome LA. Darla and Kai. It's an afternoon stream in the middle of the week. So what's up, Michelle?
Do you work Monday? Do you know?
I don't know.
I don't know what your schedule is.
I don't know. I just know I work the weekend.
Okay. Okay.
I can tell you tomorrow. Or I
It
can
doesn't
call.
matter.
I can
No,
call.
it's okay. It's okay. If you don't work Monday, then you don't work Monday, and whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. Which?
I'm trying to schedule their appointments at the SAC.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jason, those 3 picks are epic. I don't know which ones. It's my bad. I didn't look at the timing. It was like 30 minutes ago. I was forever changed the moment I saw the U.S. drones and ballistic weapons dropping on innocent people in war, like a game. Haunting to say the least. Okay. Yeah. So the elongated skulls as a show this of cultural binding, things like that. The things with the elongated, like we have these, sutures that form, and you look at a skull, you can see those suture marks, the demarcations. They have different parietal plates. One of them, it's the continue this big parietal plate this way. That's not the way the human skull is. Also, if you're binding the head, to make that cone head looking shape, you're deforming. It's a deformation, but it doesn't increase the amount of volume of brain capacity. These elongated skulls, they're not just elongated in these Egyptian and stuff like that. They're just larger in volumes. And yes, that's why I'm saying the interesting thing is why did they do that? Well, if you see that there's a bunch of elongated skulls in history and people are binding it to try and look like it, I think it's strong evidence that this happened truly. That's my take on it. That's the best I can do. Again, this is a fun stream. Even the last 2 streams where I'm talking about end time eschatology, but also discussing replacement theology, dispensationalism, covenant theology, and I have my views on it. And I've been I didn't know what these things were. I was shocked that people believe in replacement theology. So anyways, I've been doing, videos pretty much on that because I'm trying to hash it out and I'm trying to see where I can fit and stuff like that. I forget why the heck I was talking about that. Darla, you got to drop a link. I'm just looking at all of the comments for now, guys. And let's start the video, and I can maybe look at the comments. Video.
Hijacking of an entire group of different kinds of nation and different kinds of people. I mean, we have a mixing pot and a melting pot. The hijacking of the native lands, from hijacking of that to the hijacking of the people that are already here, hijacking of the freedom, and just everything from monetary reform, etc. So it's going to be a documentary. We're going to be shooting on that. There's a lot of stuff, and then we're also going to be talking about just different things. And then, like you said, we're going to the Northern Cheyenne Indian Reservation with the River Winds and a group of people that they're bringing, and we're going to be shooting the documentary that we've been talking about the Hebrew roots of the Native Americans, and we're excited about that. And I think it's probably going to be the best documentary that we've done, and it probably, just the subject matter alone is enough to excite people because, as Joseph can tell you, and he's told we talked about before, there's really a revival kind of going on in the Native American lands, knowing their roots and figuring out these things, and it's been pretty amazing. But anyways, without further ado, I'm going to welcome Joseph Riverwind to the show. How's it going, Joseph?
Dai Karaya, my brothers from the same Heavenly Father. How you all doing?
We are alive and well, and that's about all we can ask for anymore. So.
Oh man, I tell you, it's been something trying to get this show. And we've got intercessors praying. We're all called to expose the darkness, and we all that we bring to see the collective whole. And it's just an honor and blessing. We're looking forward to you guys coming out to the Lame Deer Reservation, to the land of the Zitsitsa, as they call themselves, which means people of the fringes.
Wow.
So we're looking forward to having you all come out and film and just have an experience out and have an encounter and see a whole different world right here within our own country in Turtle Island.
That we're looking forward to it, man, just as much as anybody can imagine, just because, like, just what you said there, the people of the fringe. I mean, what else could that possibly even mean? So, we're gonna show a video real quick that we took down in the Serpent Mounds, and we just kind of pointed some things out, got some good aerial footage of stuff like that, and then we'll talk a little bit about it because I know you have some insight, whereas we're just basically walking around filming the place and kind of pointing out different solstice markers, and having a Native American's perspective on this is important. And in fact, you probably even have a different perspective than a lot of other Native Americans on these mounds, and just more of a, for lack of a better term, using a trendy term, a woke perspective on these burial mounds. So we're going to play this video real quick, and then we'll discuss it from there.
So over here, it's just showing the Temple Mount. So they're walking around. They don't know who built it. So what we want to do is fast forward until he gets there. So it's cool there that they're showing the aerial stuff, but we want to get to the testimony of the Native American, which is primarily why I wanted to do that. But all I'm reiterating is that if the serpent meant something in the Bible, as a Christian, I take that seriously, and I see that it is actually supported because every other religion is saying the snake is good and that the snake does good things. And Gnosticism even says that Yahweh, it's the exact same thing as a garden. The Gnostic will say that Yahweh is evil, Yahweh is trying to imprison you, and you can escape from this, through secret knowledge, through wisdom. It's pretty much just the same lie in the garden. God really say that? The Bible really say that? So let's do this.
A few of the tribes that inhabit, every one of the people from the tribe will tell you is that their ancestors were not the ones who built these mounds, that these mounds were here long before any tribes had migrated into those regions of the land. According I mean, every tribe has their own story. That I've heard, and the wisdom that I've learned throughout the years listening to the elders from different tribes. It's interesting to note that the Lenape, the Delaware Native people who are currently in Oklahoma, Lenni Lenape, according to their oral tradition, the Allegheny are the ones who built the Serpent Mound. Now, the Allegheny is where we get the word for like the Allegheny Mountains up in the northeastern part of the United States, the mountain chain. Now, Allegheny is the.
All right, so I think it's making. Is it frozen at the moment? Is the screen frozen? Kind of freezing. I'll try it. I'll try again. Looked like it was kind of blurry-ish.
Name of a giant tribe. It's one of the tribes that whole region was named the Allegheny or Allegheny or Telegewi is another other different ways that it's been written according to historical records. But in the oral tradition, the Allegheny were giants that inhabited that entire region before there was a compact between the Mohawk and the Huron to go and fight and defeat these tribes of giants. They were anywhere from 7 foot to 9 foot tall. They inhabited that entire region. They were the mound builders, the ones who built the mounds. And much of that, there was when there was living together, both regular sized people and the Allegheny, the giant people. But it was never a good mix. It was usually a domination type of thing where the societal structure was with the giants being the rulers and the ones in power, often going out in raids and capturing people from the nearby villages, unless there was a rebellion which did take place. It's recorded in a wampum belt that's held by the Mohawk. This great battle that took place between the warriors and the giants. So we have one oral tradition from one specific tribe that tells us that who built these, not only the mounds but the Serpent Mound itself. And these the Lenape in their oral tradition also say have the same description of the.
All right, that. This discussion is going to pull out. It's just going to we're going to touch on CERN. We're going to touch on the opening ceremonies. We're going to talk about what exactly they're trying to do. We're going to talk about portals. We're going to talk about multidimensional beings, fallen angels, UAPs. We're going to listen to Jacques Vallée, who says that these phenomenon are demonic. We have the prophecy about I'll put enmity between your seed and her seed, between the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman. I see this as the serpent swallowing the seed, the offspring of the woman, meaning this is Satan's attempt to devour the Messiah before he accomplishes what he's supposed to. So fallen angels and angel offspring, I believe the fallen angels shared knowledge with the population. They played gods in the ancient worlds. The similarities between cultural myths show a grain of truth at least. And the Nephilim, the angel-human hybrids, were the builders. This explains the ancient technology found around the world, which gives us, which normally, as somebody who's secular, would be like, well, if humans were not at that level, it has to be something outside of there. So yeah, like there's high tech, people, and yeah, I'll tell you one thing: angels are high tech. Okay, and if you look, I've been thinking about this. The majority of these manifestations are lights, they're orbs, and they do these insane maneuvers. There are some that look like they're structured, like the pill one and stuff like that. There are some as well that I've seen, and they kind of like, it's almost like it's forcing itself to manifest in, and it's like, but it's shape shifting, and then it goes out and then it comes back, like it's almost trying to push through the veil from the other side. Now, I think also that there might be at like maybe the pill ones and stuff like that. That might be reverse engineering and stuff like that. Again, this is an interesting topic. Not claiming any truth about this, just kind of trying to take a biblical worldview and see if I have to leave my worldview to incorporate certain realities that are likely to be occurring in the coming years as we approach the end of the age, the big show, the big day of the Lord. So anyways, this explains the ancient technology found in the world. However, the knowledge led to the corruption of mankind. Don't forget the prophecy. In the end, knowledge will increase, right? Cool. So check out him. So the largest stones ever quarried on the planet are those at Baalbek in Lebanon. There are also two which are still in the quarry, one attached to the bedrock and another all alone on the quarry floor next to the bedrock from which it was cut. The massive scale of the undertaking of trying to shape and then release these stones above is almost unbelievable. Look at the size of that. These are average, probably 5'10", 5'11" men, right? She looks a little shorter, but slab. Did a giant help Merlin build Stonehenge? Well, there's mythology about it. There's a story about Merlin being a giant. Here, the Serpent Mount, it says the principal mount of this group is the only known example in Canada of a mount of serpentine shape. The earliest archaeological excavations on the site was carried out by David Boyle in 1896. Artifacts and skeletal remains were discovered, but the first comprehensive investigation was not started until 1955. The mounds, somewhat similar to those of Ohio Valley, appear to have been built while the region was occupied by Indians at the point of the peninsula culture. Numerous burials have been found in the mounds, which are estimated to have been constructed about the 2nd century AD. You're always going to have these mounds or these megalithic structures. All of these things they line up astrologically They line up with fault lines. They line up with a lot of constellations. Oh, here we go. Here's the Vatican. We're talking about snakes. So why would he do that? Why would you build a snake house for so-called Christians? Seed war. There's two ways of looking at this, and it's been drawn out. But here we do see that there's what I'm pretty much saying is this is a testicle here. Got a testicle there. We got a testicle there. We have the phallus here. And we have the opening vagina. It also is, if you stare long enough and back, it's actually a lamb as well. Above here, the eye is here. This is kind of the nose, the mouth, the ears that come down over here. You can do that another way. It's just to say that there is symbolism within the Vatican that's pointing to the seed war. Right? Look at that one, guys. Do you clearly see Baphomet, the goat head right there? Do you? Eyes, the two horns, the snout. What's up, guys? What's happening in the Vatican? Surely it'll play a part in the end times. Snakehead. Now I'm finding everywhere where the stuff. So let's stop about the snakes for a second. We can go back to the giant, and the word giant, first attested in 1297, was derived from the gigantus of Greek mythology. So we have giants, Olympian, Hindu, Norse, Indo-European. These are also accounts of giants in the Old Testament. Some of these are called Nephilim, a word often translated as giant. There's Jain mythology. There's giants in there. Native American mythologies. Sidikai went a little into detail. Norse. There's a lot of giants. There's a lot of giants, and there's snakes everywhere. Genesis tells of the Nephilim before and after the flood. According to Genesis, the Nephilim were destroyed in the flood, but Nephilim are reported after the flood, including the Anakite, Emites, Amorites, Raphites. Don't forget Emim, Zuzumim. They're being called a lot of things. I'm in Canada. I could be called a Canadian. I could be called a white person. I could be called, he's a Quebecer from the province of Quebec. Even though if you're calling me a Canadian or you're calling me a Quebecer, they're both talking about me. So there's different areas would call certain people's different names. So you end up having like this long list of people dwelling in Canaan. But if you really do the word search, you'll see that the Bible does say their name is this, but others called that. So you could be, okay, there's just one of them there. It says the book of Numbers includes a discouraging report by the spies which Moses sent into Canaan. We can't attack these people. They are stronger than I. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim. There, the descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. So look, anyone coming from Nephilim, okay, is not pure human person, okay, must die. Because not only are they, in a way, not human, they're demi-humans at varying percentages, I guess. They were also extremely evil and constantly trying to kill Israel. At one point, when everyone's trying to kill you, you got to go and destroy. And then you can look at just wars, how antiquity it functioned. We have all of that. There's one thing. Anyways, I'm not getting into that. Oh, yeah. Joseph also described Josephus. So this is extra biblical. Josephus Flavius also describes the Amorites as giants in his Antiquities of the Jews, circa 93 AD, indicating the fossil evidence still remains at that time, and it still remained till the 19th century. All right, next, give you a size understanding. Just like rendition. So these are completely different parietal plates. And it makes sense that there's like all sorts of different skull shapes, because like they're abominations, right? It's like, well, this one mated with that one had that offspring that's tainted, but that one had something with this one. Who knows what was going on? So you have all sorts of humanoid things occurring and intermingling, and things are starting to look abominable. God had to wipe it. He had to wipe it. Just understand that snake worship is everywhere except for in the Bible. And it makes sense that if there is Yahweh and the serpent, good and evil clashing, then it makes sense that God would take a nation and that symbol would be evil, but all other nations, if at that point are not God's people, they are under all of these fallen angels, and they're under, in a way, the dominion of Satan and his deception. All of them are seeking wisdom, and for a Christian, wisdom apart from God means nothing. You want God's wisdom, you want God's knowledge, right? You want God's knowledge, but that's acquired through, through Jesus Christ by the Holy Spirit. It's the Holy Spirit that we want to enter our bodies, not some serpent. I know that just a minute. All right. Serpents. Just don't forget that if this Kundalini and all of this serpent playing around with the serpent stuff, just go check it out. Awakening of Kundalini chakras presenting as a psychosis. Go look at spiritual emergency versus spiritual emergence. And there's tons of videos of these weird, like, jerking movements that people have that are supposedly good. It's like basically you play with this stuff and bad stuff starts happening, but the people that are telling you to do this are saying it's because you're purifying your chakras. So all of these things are coming out as that. This is a good thing. It's a fast. It's a spiritual awakening. Like, okay, but there's some people that go cuckoo. Anyways, just talking here about why this is here. But, oh yeah, so here's Noah's Ark. So when you go into the actual Bible and you go, okay, let's use the Bible to see where we should go dig or find stuff archaeologically. Let's actually listen to the Bible and follow and say the Jews went from here to here, and then you go, then you continue, and then you excavate there. As far as, here we have the mountains of Ararat. So on the mountains, let's say the mountain of Ararat, it says the mountains, plural, we have here in Turkey. Turkey has acknowledged this as the remnant of Noah's Ark. It fits all of the size. It's been heavily excavated. It sees that there's definitely wood. There's definitely rivets. There's definitely presence of animals. So, of course, you can reject that. I don't. I think that, there's so much evidence, and people go like this. So, you know what? People independently do research and they put it out there. So here, government confirms this is Noah's Ark. Okay, the Turkish government established the new Noah's Ark National Park. Here we can see when we're looking closer and the excavation. This is not a natural formation. It has structures. It's evenly spaced. To be continued. So yes, there's archaeological evidence. I in my book, it's found. Obviously, people will be like, "Nah, it's not true." Oh, okay, I believe it. There we go. There is also in the area these extremely large stone anchors. Okay, and this is how they would be set up. Here, arkdiscovery.com. Check that out. So you have these things that are very close to that other area that looks like a ancient remains of a boat all over the place. You got crosses. People knew where Noah's Ark was before. That's my issue. Traditions are important, okay? Within cultural traditions lie wisdom. Now, we know that we hear and now have a bad connotation about wisdom, about the tradition. Oh, traditions, that's written by man, and then they add. So, yes, it can go both ways, but passing on information, knowledge, and wisdom generation per generation is quite important. So it seems like we've just forgotten where Noah's Ark is, and we have these people thousands of years ago that are carving, and Christians obviously with these crosses believe that this is the location. There's slabs that had fallen down. Go check out Earth Discovery. They're called dragstones, I guess. holysite.com. Everything's there. They call this is this in Turkey, I guess? I'm not sure. Anyways, it's all different. It's whether some of the stuff's in Saudi Arabia. Obviously they wandered, right? But they call this the Noah's house. They call that Noah's altar. The village of the eight people that came out of the ark. All right, I thought that was kind of just go through that quickly. All right, let's continue the story. And let's continue.
The giants, oftentimes they had red hair, sometimes double rows of teeth, 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes, and typical traits of what we call the byproduct of the star people and the human beings. Have you heard any of that, John or Jake?
I haven't. Jake might have. He did a little more research on it than I did, but I never heard that, man. That's
and the star people, right? Obviously coming from the stars. Now, don't forget that in Christianity, angels are referred to as stars. So he is not necessarily saying that they're aliens and calling them star people from far off stars. He's just calling them star people. But the Bible calls angels stars as well. We see it in Revelation. So stars are symbolic of angels.
Pretty interesting. Jacob, did you have any insight to that? I know you researched a little bit before we left.
Yeah, I know. When looking at some of the Nephilim tribes or some of the giant tribes that supposedly migrated north out of the kind of the Mideast area, those who were kind of attributed with Gog and Magog often were looked at as red-haired, six-fingered giants. And it's very possible that those giant tribes that kind of left the land of Israel, where the Israelites were told, you need to wipe these guys out, you need to make sure they don't survive. Well, the Israelites failed at their command, from God to wipe out these Nephilim tribes. The Rephaim, the Nephilim, just the Anakim, and some of those very possibly migrated north, and also migrated across the continent into the North American area that we see today. When we looked at some of the videos from like L.A. Marzulli talking about these mounds, he also was kind of coming from the position of these are often attributed with Native American tribes, but it's very interesting that a lot of the burial mounds in this part of the Americas, they could also be traced back to these Nephilim giants that also lived in North America.
It's interesting that you brought up, this migration of this dispersion of the tribes, the Canaanite tribes, the Rephaim, I know there's the Anunnaki. Interestingly enough, in my Arawak language, our word for enemy is Anunnaki. When you said that, it just like triggered this memory of that in my language. There's, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but when we were doing the Serpent Mound conference with L.A. Marzulli and Russ Dizdar, Gary Stearman, Fritz Zimmerman, I mean, just incredible researchers. I was like, Creator, why am I here? These guys are powerhouses. I know so little about what these guys are teaching, the depths of what they're teaching. I just felt, very, very small. But Creator brought us to that Serpent Mound conference, and it was at that conference that a man came up to us, and he brought with him a artifact. And this artifact is a lance head that is pretty heavy. It's hand hammered. He found it. He brought it in. All the guys were looking at it and saying, "Oh, it's a sword. It's a sword," but it didn't have the typical pieces like the hilt piece that would go on a sword. And when I looked at it, I saw it, through ethnocentric eyes, through the lens of my culture. And I saw this, and I said, "Guys, this is the gigantic warhead lance. This is this is what would sit on a 7 or 8 foot tall pole, which that goes directly with the oral tradition of tribes that these and all gigantic one time." So it was at the very Serpent Mound conference that we got that in my possession. It was gifted to me before he left the country to go on mission work, and to give. And I want to address what you said about them migrating here from the Middle East. The time frame works. The time frames when you put them together between the expulsion of the tribes in the land of Judea, and then you see this influx of a migration, or just all of a sudden.
Sorry, guys. I was trying to see if I could have the audio playing. I was trying to see if I could have the audio playing of him talking, as well as putting up something else to show you. It didn't work. I think it went blank. Anyway, he's talking about a very large spearhead. Thanks for coming, Zibenator. Kai has dudes on his roof. Maybe it's Santa. Maybe he came late. Maybe you're a bad boy, so yeah, you know, he's coming down your chimney. All right. So what I wanted to say was there are archaeological evidence as well of a very, very large spearheads and stuff like that. You know, some of them in the museums and stuff like that, they're large, and they basically say, well, these are, you know, it's plausible, ornamental. It's not, you know, it wasn't used and stuff like that. But when you look at the calculations of the height and size of giants and stuff like that, you get a different picture, I guess. Let's see here.
Okay, now this is important. I want you all to see this. So come gather around me on either side. Some of you pass me by and come over here. Okay, so these show you spearheads, right? These spearheads over here are massive. This spearhead that you see right here is even big. And we'll see regular size spearheads. Those ones above are more regular size, but these are massive here. And then look at this one in the middle. Okay, that is huge. And the write-up on this, it was found out on the Philistine Plains at a site out there. The write-up on this says it's impossible for this to be used. It's too big. So they say that it must have been a decoration on somebody's mantle and used purely for a decoration. Look at the thing. That don't look like no decoration to me. That looks like it's been used. And so we're going to be at a place where we're overlooking the battlefield of David and Goliath, and it describes the size of his weaponry. That's what we're talking about right there. And then look at this armor is the same way. This is exceptionally large armor.
Yeah, the scales. All right, interesting. Joel Kramer, I think Expedition Bible Expedition or something. You're going to be seeing a lot more of this guy. I'm having so much fun that it's like I feel like I'm going to do some daily bread here. Oh, I want to talk about that. You know, I'm just so interested in this, but I'm also super interested in, you know, other aspects. At least a lot of it revolves around the Bible. But obviously this, you know, is for interest. Like, I think it's important that Christians should have this possible worldview. I'll be back in a second. I'm streaming, eh? No, it's reminding me. I'm streaming. Okay. Continue with this guy.
Just wanted to share that with the listeners out there.
There's so many things here that are so unexplained. We were talking before the show here in Evansville, about 2 miles from where we're at right this moment. There's actually these places called Angel Mounds, and they've never excavated them for some reason. And there's really nothing like going on there. They just kind of got them roped off, and you're not supposed to go dig around in them. But we have a friend here that has, you know, those showcases. He's got like 10 showcases full of artifacts that he's found in the riverbeds that are not from the Native American culture that was actually here, which is interesting. But there's so many things that prove a lot of these, you know, I guess, what do you call them, oral traditions of the elders and stuff that you guys have. it's amazing. And people, you know, one question I wanted to ask while we're talking about artifacts and different things, in Lovelock, is it Lovelock Cave, I believe, the giant skull that they found. Are you familiar with what might have happened to that? Because I was trying to hunt it down, and obviously, from what I understand, it's just nowhere to be found.
The Lovelock Cave is in the land of the Paiute.
I'm going to go through this quickly about Lovelock Cave. I've done discussions on that. You actually saw a slide. It's the one where it compares this really big jaw with a kind of impression of the size of a typical human jaw. They were red-haired, double-row teeth, 6 fingers, 6 toes. They ended up, because they lived in mountain or cave mounds, they ended up, Indians, creating a fire to select the stone-skinned people, meaning that they were so large and the arrows typically couldn't even have an effect, just a typical arrow. That's what he's going to explain, so I'll go quickly through that.
Paiute tribes, and the Paiutes have the same stories: red-haired giants that covered the land. And I saw one of the questions that somebody put in the chat room was, "Are there native stories about what happened to the giants?" Yes, there are. Several of the stories, there were battles against these giants. For example, Lovelock Cave, which John just brought up. In the Paiute stories, these giants, they were raiding people, raiding the tribes. The warriors came together. Oftentimes the arrows just wouldn't pierce their skin. Some of the tribes, the name for these giants translated into stone skin or stone skin giants. And according to the story, what they did was they were able to put a bunch of brush and greenery and grass and just flammable things in front of the cave where these giants were. That's where they were assembled. That's where they would sleep. And so they were, in effect, not trying to smoke the giants out of the cave, but build a smoke, like a smoke bomb, to where they would suffocate inside. And whenever they would try to come out of the cave, the warriors just shot volleys and volleys and volleys of arrows at them, aiming at their heads, aiming at their eyes, and it would drive them back into the cave until all of them had suffocated and died. And for the longest time, those bones, those gigantic bones of those skeletons, just laid there. The Paiute people just left it alone. They didn't mess with it. Much like even the traditions today of you don't walk on top of a mound. You don't, we can stand around them, but those places are very charged, for lack of a better word, with demonic power, Nephilim power, bad energy, bad medicine, whatever circles you run in, whatever language group or description you want to put to it. Evil is evil. And oftentimes, a lot of those places are charged with blood sacrifices, with the prayers, with incantations, with occult ceremonies, which the giant tribes were heavy into. Blood drinking, they were cannibalistic. They did sex magic. And there was nothing good about the tribes. Now, the question about what happened to them, just like with the Choctaw stories, the Choctaws have a story where Abba, which is the Choctaw name for God, Abba came to a man named Nuwa and told him to build a large canoe and put the animals that he told him to put on the canoe, because the earth was going to be covered with water. And the reason why was to destroy the tribes of giants that were becoming like a cancer.
So that's really cool, because prior to kind of acknowledging Genesis 6 and the first book of Enoch, understanding that this was this flood, this deluge was in a way the only way to save humanity. A very, very small amount of people, 8 people. I'm going to stop sharing because my PowerPoint presentation even shows that. So the real reason God flooded the earth. Try to move quickly. Entire screen. This is the one they were talking about, the Sidikai, red-haired giants, 6 fingers, 6 toes. These are documented as supposedly skeletal finds. Can I prove that? No. But these are legit. Egyptian. Here. This is what I wanted to look at. Slideshow. Here. So look, you can do your own research on this, but these are flood traditions in different cultures, different areas, different times. So you have the Assyrio-Babylonia 1 and 2. We can see what aspects of their flood story. Is man in transgression? Is it a divine destruction? Is there a favored family? Is there ark provided? Is the destruction by water? Are humans saved? Animals saved? Universal destruction? Landing on a mountain? Birds sent out? Survivors? Worship? Divine favor? Anyways, you keep on going and you see, and I'm sure this is not limited to these, all of these remnant of a story that sounds like it is being acknowledged by multiple cultures that were actually never in contact almost with each other. Again, this is for interest. There may be a second massive ocean deep beneath the surface. So just keep in mind that Noah's flood happened when, it rained for 40 days, 40 nights, but the fountains of the deep burst open. So prior to the deluge, the world was very, very different. Ecologically, geographically, extremely different. The deluge completely changed the world. But if there's no evidence that there would be that much water that would be underneath, and it's like, stupid Christians again. But here it says, on that day, all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were open. But the fountains of the deep, you can see all of these, cracks and stuff that go all around the world. I think that this, also pushed and created the current land masses that we have. You can see that this fault line here would have created, in my opinion, that's just the way I see it. I know there's different opinions. Like they connect together like a puzzle here, right? And it could be that when the strong, insanely strong, like imagine that much water, the force of it would be like a nuclear bomb or something. So it just burst forth. Obviously, it started pushing this way, and there was many mega sequences, and this created, layers in the fossil record. That's at least a non-secular view. It's a biblical view, but there are, unfortunately, guys, scientists that are brilliant, and they happen to believe in this. But I'm just stupid. So that's why I'll bring smart people videos so that I can appeal to authority. Okay, dokie. And let's do this over here. Present screen. Let's continue with the interview. There's no way to know if we're living in a simulation. It could be just a whole program where it's actually, I'm the only one here. You guys perhaps are all full of, just characters. And when I wake up, it'll be like, oh, wow, like that was cool. What are you talking about? That was like just 5 minutes. That was the coolest thing in my life. It felt like it was 70 years went by. I experienced everything. You could do that. At this point, that's unprovable. What I would say is, if I'm in a simulation or not, it feels pretty real to me. And there's things within this simulation that if you do this in the simulation, this occurs. And if you do that in the simulation, the bad thing. So you still have to, unless you think you can pop out of the simulation like Neo, a new heaven, a new earth. We all reside within. We live and breathe and have our being within God. Really, we have a common interpretation of outside things because we have common instruments, sensory instruments. So, I don't have echolocation. I don't have sonar. I don't have, animals have various senses to sense. Sharks also have, I think, very special abilities. There's something about like, how do birds all like fly together like this in a swarm? There's some kind of sense, there. So because we have all sorts of the same instruments, I don't know really. There's something that's coming and it's hitting my eyes, okay? And it's hitting my eyes and it's bouncing back out. And then after, there's an electrical impulse that gives me this, colors, all of these things. Same thing, deaf, it's just a drum. I don't know what sound is and stuff like that. I just know that there's something hitting my eardrum and it's creating vibrations. Same thing, touch, feel, all of that. People, when they do die or when they do something like DMT, they feel that that all of the separation falls away, and they kind of blend into the whole everythingness, and they lose themselves. So to have a human experience, you need to actually have a regulation where it reduces reality. If I could see every form of light, all the spectrum, I would see nothing. It is literally because I am restricting the amount of reality that is coming that I can have an experience of light and color. Every sound frequency that occurs, if my senses were able, I could not hear anything. It would just be some kind of cosmic vibe in my ears, because it would be an accumulation of every single sound that I'm able to hear, and on and on and on. So I think that running, again, it's interesting, but if that's your question, do we live in a simulation or not? I don't think it's the absolute question to ask. I should say, if there's a simulation, who built the simulation and who put me in that simulation? There's somebody, again, so we can't escape even the simulation, because if we want to remove God and say that's just a simulation, nothing's real in a way, okay, but who created the simulation? Because all of the simulation that humans are able to experience, it's made by a human, and we experience it. So it's just like the same thing with alien brothers and sisters coming to save us, and there are creators. Like, well, you know what? Yeah, but we know time, space, and matter have come into existence at one point. So who created you? And who created time, space, and matter? Because you seem to be inside it still, like me. We're in the same boat. So again, there is this attempt of going just like a little bit further and saying, I'm happy with simulation theory. All right, but what if there's a guy that made the simulation, and within the simulation, he put in your heart a moral compass? What if, this simulation is something that is a simulation, and that there's something more real outside there? But LA, within the simulation, there's a game that has to be played, and the creator wants us to be removed from the simulation by a certain way, Jesus Christ. So what if the creator And in a way, we could say that because there's a new heaven and a new earth that's going to be created, that we live and have our being, that things came into existence, and he says that all of that will decay. So simulation, I can't prove it as a Christian, but as a Christian, if I'm in a simulation, who the hell put me in this simulation? Is there somebody who built the simulation? Is there a purpose to the simulation? And some believe the purpose is to do whatever you want in the simulation and then die and nothing else exists. And there's other people that seem to struggle within themselves, this moral conundrum in their heart, this morality that they just know is there, but then they're dealing with evil within themselves, evil being subjected, being evil sometimes to other people. So simulation or not, you can be extremely unhappy. You can suffer right now in this possible simulation. There are still within a simulation rules for the game, a purpose of the game, a purpose of the simulation. What is the simulation builder trying to tell us? So yes, it could be a simulation. But in this simulation, it seems the only way that we win the game is through Christ. So it doesn't change. It just puts the question further down the road, in my opinion. Always love your questions. If people have DNA damage and grew oversized here, they really struggle with Earth's gravitational force. Is there a picture, or how can I find it? I'm not sure, Zebanator, which one you're specifically calling. LA says, my experience / reality over time is totally being questioned at this time. That's all right. Be open-minded. I have not completely solidified my view. I solidified my view for Christ and stuff like that. But there's still questions. There's a lot of learning and stuff like that. You're saying my experience, reality over time is totally being questioned. That LA should be applauded because it seems like you are open-minded. And when you're open-minded, you can take all, let's say Jason is 80% wrong, but maybe there's 20% that resonates with you, and it might answer a question that you have that I blurted out wasn't even the purpose for that. Like, you know what I mean? So that's great. To you're not asleep, that means you're not asleep. If you're questioning everything, and I know you've expressed how, you're feeling overwhelmed by this, and there's questions, and it's not necessarily a bad position to be in. She has done all of the research. I will challenge you and say that you did not read the New Testament as an adult. You read it. I'm not sure if you read the whole thing, but if you've done all this research, all I'm saying is, have you read the gospel, the little end of the Bible? Because if you didn't, then I'd be like, then you did not do all the research. You haven't searched out every nook and cranny. But you know what I mean. I'm a Christian. I'm pushing the Bible. I'm trying to save you. I'm coming after your soul. Yeah. Oliver Klein, all different giant hybrids, inbreeding. So listen, I'm going to be reading your stuff, and I'll post replies. Let's get back to the actual movie, because there's a heck of a lot more to talk about, guys. It's a really, really good interview. Make sure to subscribe to their channel. Got to give props.
On the land.
It's interesting. And so I guess a question I would have, so these maps that we're looking at, and obviously they're on solstice markers. There's like 3 curves to them, and they're all on different solstice markers. Are they also connected to ley lines? And what significance does the meteorite, I guess, lake there that the meteorite hit there have to all of this stuff?
Well, to understand that, John, one of the first things that we'll go to is what the serpent is named. It's called Mishabishu, which means the great serpent. And that's the loose translation of what that name means. The literal translation of Mishabishu is the master of the underworld, or lord of the beneath world. And in the oral tradition of the native people, he was often depicted like a hybrid between a horned serpent and like a water dragon, or a beast of the water, more like a horned reptile type of beast, the Uktina, and is always associated with water though. And this is one of the reasons why this earthworks was placed pointing towards this meteorite, where this meteorite had hit. Again, it's a charged area. The land is charged. You have people who are very sensitive, or maybe they're new age, and they're like, "Oh, I feel a difference here," et cetera, et cetera. Well, your body will feel a physical difference when you're around places like this, because the spiritual energy around it is completely different. And especially if you're walking in the kingdom of light, and you're covered by the blood of Yeshua, you're empowered with the Ruach HaKodesh and the Holy Spirit. If you have that gift of discernment, that discerning gift is a gift between knowing what's good and what's evil, the spirits that are there in a place. So you've got the alignment, and I'm going to get to the ley lines too, because that's important. The way that this serpent was created. So you've got this great serpent, master of the underworld, lord of the beneath world, and in the native stories, it said that this creature would drag people into the water. It was also caused floods. It was never talked about during the spring and the summer seasons. It was always talked about during the winter seasons, because it was believed that it was encased in ice during that time. In the ancient stories, it says that there was only one other spiritual being that could defeat this great serpent, and that was the Thunderbirds. Is the closest translation we can get in English. But these were great winged spiritual beings that had the power to subdue the Mishabishu. And I mean, looking at it through biblical lenses, it sounds like angels to me. Maybe they were archangels, maybe I don't know, one of the more powerful ones, fighting angel. But to say that these massive winged spiritual beings were the only ones that had power over this horned serpent. Is there a biblical correlation? I don't know. It could be possible. Now, they are aligned to the solstices, like a lot of these earthworks were. Some of the knowledge that the star people brought with them was knowledge of the stars. So as they brought the knowledge of the stars with them, you see a lot of this star knowledge, or Nephilim knowledge, or Nephilim architecture, as Ali Marzulli likes to call it, all throughout the world, not just in the Americas. Now, initially, this serpent snake, it was covered with dolomite stone. Why it was covered with that, I don't know. But so imagine the video that you shot, where we see it all covered in grass. Well, at one time it was covered with these stones, dolomite stones, to where it would look like scales on the serpent itself. This particular serpent is aligned with the constellation Draco. You can look up the constellation Draco. It's a dragon serpent, and it's pretty precise. The serpent mound in its alignment with the Draco constellation, even the pole star, which is Thuban, it's Draconis. It's a geographical center within the first of the 7 coils from the head. So there's definitely an alignment with that constellation. The head is aligned with the summer solstice. The coils are aligned with the summer solstice, the equinox, sunrise, all of them, as well as the winter solstice. And also the 3 coils are lined up with 6 major lunar events. Because remember, the native calendar, the First Nations calendar that we would go by, is a lunar calendar. Oftentimes there being 13 months in a lunar year. So the coils, or the humps on the snake, correlate with 6 lunar events, both moon rises and moon sets. So you could both use this to track lunar, and you could use it to track solar.
So what significance, or what is Draco? I mean, I've heard of it, but for the audience, what does this mean to most people? This constellation Draco that this Serpent Mound lines up with.
Well, in the native way, the constellation of the Draco is the same as the Uctina. Uctina is the horned serpent. It's the serpent of the underworld. Typically, whenever there's constellations in the sky, it was believed that that's when you had to amp up your prayers. That's when more ceremonies were done to defend either yourself or the people from any of the spirits.
So for at least I don't know all tribes, but surprisingly, I didn't know that. It seems like they saw the Draco constellation as something negative that required them to up their prayers for protection, right? So just don't forget that the theme of this, okay, is right from the garden is, you know what, the serpent, the devil, Lucifer, call whatever you want. He tried to offer knowledge, secret knowledge, okay, that is apart from God. And this is what all of philosophy, a lot of religion or spirituality or new age and stuff like that is to acquire divine knowledge without really being accountable to a divine being. And that as long as you know this secret knowledge, that can be used, and somehow the knowledge itself is what purifies you. This is like Gnosticism, okay? The Kundalini, okay? You sit there, you meditate on chakras, and you're trying to, through breathing and positioning and all that, to bring up this serpent, to invite really a serpent into you. And you see this in China. You see this, all of the Inca, Maya, Quetzalcoatl, serpents and dragons. All throughout history, there's serpents and dragons. And the only ones that are really saying, no, that serpent's bad, not the only, but pretty much, are the Bible people. The Bible people believe in their Bible, and it makes perfect sense that if I believe that this Bible is saying accurately stuff in history, then I would understand that the star people are fallen angels, that the technology is fits in with it. So basically everything kind of fits in with fallen angels and with the rebellion and Genesis 6. So I just kind of scratch my head sometimes when a Christian will say like, oh, I'm Christian. So I assume, oh, you're Christian, you believe in the Bible. Then it becomes, but I believe in aliens. And none of my business. You can be a Christian and believe in aliens all you want. But I kind of scratch my head. And I said, before jumping to aliens, like within your own worldview, all of this makes sense. All of this makes actually way more sense that it's interdimensional than it's extraterrestrial. We know that. We see that they materialize, they dematerialize, they become, they appear, they become multiple orbs, they do amazing speeds and turn on like that. It's impossible to do that almost in our realm. So to jump to their galactic brothers, when you're a Christian, when you're able actually during the end times, because remember the great deception for Christians, if you are a Christian, I'm just kind of encourage you, like wake up and open your eyes. There's a lot of stuff that's happening. Okay. And Christians that don't want to talk about end time stuff, that are not comfortable about Genesis 6. And a lot of Christians are talking about the Nephilim, the fallen angels, the watchers. Maybe we're totally off. Maybe this will never happen. But it's, in my opinion, smart to know the narrative. It's very smart to know, okay, this is the narrative. Boom, the fallen angels, this happen. So that if I see this trend happening, then I know I know my next step. You know, I'm not lost here wondering, just following. Bible says this is going to happen. This is the next thing. Okay, don't. And it's a great time to because things are very confusing. We're gonna have a lot of stuff happening. Okay, there's going to be just the amplification of the ancient hatred between the sons of Isaac and the sons of Ishmael. There is going to be end time fighting over the land of Israel. That fighting has been always. Anytime the Jews return back to the land, they were fighting. So end time talks deeply about that. We still need the war that's Gog and Magog. There's Armageddon. There's tons of prophecies about nations around actual Israel and Jerusalem. There's more prophecies of Jesus's second coming and what he does is his second coming, how the unbelieving Jews, those that are the rebels, have been gathered into the nations. Okay, God is gathering the Jews to the nation. One, to purge out the rebels, to purge out those who are not destined for salvation, who are the synagogue of Satan, you could say. But during that tribulation, which is a 7-year tribulation where the church ain't here at that point, okay, we'll have a purification of a remnant of Israel. And then that remnant will cry out during the end time for Jesus. They'll see the one whom they pierce. These are all like Ezekiel passages, as well as Jeremiah, over and over. There's tons of stuff. And it's important to keep our eyes on the Middle East, because Middle East will affect the whole world. But there is going to be the religious ideology of Ishmael versus the religious ideology of the son of Isaac. That will be getting heated up. At the same time, you're going to have this beast empire of AA trying to like completely control you, isolate you, and to feed you only what is required to propagandize you so that you follow the beast system. We saw a small example of that during the happy, healthy supplementation from companies. Cough, cough. We saw how quickly technology was able to locate areas, to stop movement, and stuff like that. That was like a test run. We also know that these are birth pains. We see that there was typologies in the Old Testament of future things to come. And we can look at always these same patterns to understand that there's an underlying pattern. In the Old Testament, there was always the first coming rejected, the second coming accepted. The same thing here. Jews have had rejected their king. Because of that, all of the nations of the world were blessed, and that was a free gift of grace and mercy. Now he has, because of their rebellion, just like usual, from 33 AD to pretty much still now, they are under judgment. They were judged by being scattered. They were judged by horrible things that happened to them. And they are also coming back to the land of Israel, actually, for judgment. Because the majority of the end time gathering, 2/3, will be annihilated. I'm not telling you what I think is going to happen. I'm just telling you what the Bible says. Now, am I interpreting it wrong? I don't know. You can go see Ezekiel 36, and there was yesterday Ezekiel and Zechariah. I forget which one, but in Zechariah and stuff like that, there is tons of very specific, from the east will come here, and there's names, there's everything. And it's important to understand that the Jews have returned to the land. That is a huge end time prophecy. Like, huge. And it's funny, most people don't even talk about it. It's like, it's prophetic, guys. The Bible got that prediction right thousands of years before. All right. Okay. Let's get back. Oh, share screen helps, eh?
The Wendigos or the Wanagis that would come during the season, depending on whatever tribe you come from. You have different names for these dark spirits that would be released during the seasons that the Draco or Uctina constellation was in the sky. I wonder if Meshu Bishu is the name of this creature, this Lord of the underworld, this Lord of darkness, and it sounds very similar to Machu Picchu in Peru. And I don't know if there's a connection there or not.
I thought that's what you were saying. Minus, I just thought you pronounced it differently. So, but yeah.
Oh, okay, no.
Interesting. Yeah, it's crazy. I've been reading a book called Fingerprint of the Gods.
Yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, you think it's overwhelming now, okay? How everything's changing and speeding up. Like this is gonna happen. Like I said, there is a global system run by AI that will control humanity. Like I said, we had the practice run. They're analyzing, how humans react to these kind of things. It comes in waves. Crises will be created so that these crises become emergencies, so that we out of fear give up more and more of our rights and privileges and privacy and stuff like that. Then after, you're going to have like CERN. It has Shiva, the destroyer, a pagan god that is right outside of CERN. Their opening ceremony is highly satanic, just openly satanic. And it's funny because in prophecy it says that Apollyon in Greek and Abaddon in Hebrew means the destroyer, and basically the gates of hell. Okay, the pit will be opened. Now, is this what is occurring in CERN? Do another video about them saying that they are in contact with other dimensions and other entities. The quantum D-wave computers, same kind of thing. They're talking about they are going to other dimensions and receiving the information from there. So we're talking about other dimensions. When science says, oh yes, we live in a multi-dimensional universe, that's fine. If we say that, we live in a multi-dimensional universe where, in the other dimensions, there's actually Yahweh, there's actually a God, there's actually angels, there's actually, it's okay to say dimensions, but it's like, yeah, I know. Now, if you're worshiping science and everything science is even though you're taking what the institutions are telling you is truth, as if the academic, institutions right now of science are 100% legit. There's no corruption in any of it. So these people, science. We live in an age of the deception, right? Really, like we should use our brains, and because I do see some people that are really believe in scientism. They just blindly accept whatever science says. We saw these people all throughout the right? We saw them all throughout that, doing exactly that. What else? They're going to be pushing a global technocracy with AI. definite biological manipulations. This is Yuval Noah Harari from the World Economic Forum has clearly, unapologetically expressed that. And transhumanism is the joining of robotics with humans. Again, this is good for amputees, spine injuries. This will be really good, putting in neural links and stuff like that. But we have to realize that Elon Musk himself warned about playing with AI. He goes, "You've summoned the demons." So what does he do? He says, well, they're going to do it anyways. So now he's like the first one to put, electrodes and stuff like that in our brain. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, if we do this, we're summoning the devil. I bet you he'll be at the forefront of AI technology. So it's like, all right. CRISPR babies, gene edited babies. So I'm pushing very strongly for interdimensional beings. I encourage Christians before they jump on the alien being physical galactic brothers and stuff like that. Why would you go outside of the Bible, that if you believe it, if it has proven itself to be true to you, and you've been a student of the Bible, and you're studying and you're learning, then obviously if this is true, it should make sense no matter what's happening. And for me, everything makes sense. As they said, what's going to happen, Lord? When are you going to come? When will the end of the age come and the new age begin? And he says, just as in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. And it's like, what was happening? There was angelic activity, okay, demonic. So fallen angels coming down, interacting with humans, right? There's genetic tampering. The hearts of people as well, they were all evil, all cold. When all of Israel rebels against Yahweh, and Elijah is saying, it's the end of Israel. He goes, they've all bowed down to Satan. They all hate you. Not one of them likes you. They're trying to kill me. And Yahweh says, no. He goes, there are 7,000 within Israel, a remnant that have not bowed their knee and worshiped me. And because of that, the nation is held as, being worthy. A little bit longer.
By Graham Hancock, and he goes over all these different serpent civilizations, and it's so interesting. A lot of people don't know this, but America is actually, it means land of the plumed serpent, at least according to a lot of different scholars, and it's just the serpent worship, I mean, is worldwide, but in here, it seems like in Central America and here in Ohio especially, I think that there was somewhere up to 100,000 mounds in the area. I mean, real haunted land from what I can understand. And you were saying that the eerie feeling, you definitely get an eerie feeling when you go into these places. And I know Jake had an interesting experience there that he's still kind of suffering from when we went there. Tell me about it, Jake.
I don't know.
What happened, Jake?
I don't know if I'm still suffering from it, but I remember.
Let us be the judge of that.
Yeah, I remember we were
among Native people that was prophesied 42 years ago, and that started to bear fruit 2 years ago. Just like there's this awakening that's taking place with Spirit-filled Native believers. That awakening is also is going across the land. We see it, with the Native people who aren't believers, but who are going back to traditional ways of worship for their tribes. A lot of times, it's really the traditions have gotten mixed in with other things. They're not the purest form of what they once were. I know some people who think that they're walking in their ancient traditions of their tribe when it's the farthest thing from that. But for the most part, what you're going to see at places like Serpent Mound and stuff is the New Age crowds. They've really been drawn. They're some of them believe this is the age of Aquarius is what they believe, that this is a time of enlightenment and all this. And this started happening right around the whole Mayan calendar date thing, where people thought the world was going to end, and that's not what the Mayan calendar said at all. Nowhere in the Mayan calendar, Mayan Incan calendar, did it say that the world was ending. So these people started getting together for this, so there's a New Age awakening that started taking place. Back in 1987 was the first really large group of New Age people that came to Serpent Mound. It was called the Harmonic Convergence, and so the fascination with the mounds and these ancient earthworks among the New Age circles, that's when it started happening, right after 1987. Now in 2011, right there at Serpent Mound, Mayan priests came, and there was a bringing together of the 13 crystal skulls. And the purpose of bringing together the 13 crystal skulls and all the chanting and mediums and spiritists and all these people that came there together, they believed that what they were doing, their purpose was to ignite paranormal power at that site. Now, we don't need to be igniting any type of paranormal anything, no matter where we're at. We just went through back in October, this month, October 13th and 14th, here on the reservation at White Earth, there was a paranormal conference that was on the reservation. And from the moment the conference started, and they've got summoning and Ouija boards and doing all sorts of things, paranormal and this and that. From the moment that conference started on this reservation, and those spiritual doors started to be opened, within 4 days, we had 10 suicides, 6 ODs, all within a time period of just 4 days. So these spiritual doors, when they're open, it's to think that all these people came here to Serpent Mound, right there to Ohio, and that these Mayans came all the way down from Central America. This is where the serpent religion originated, the Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. And so all these guys come up, they bring together 13 crystal skulls to ignite a paranormal power. So that's one route gateway that was open there. So we have gatherings that take place there every year. As a result, unfortunately, the people who run the park, they're seeing big money in this because New Agers have money. And so they're starting to host more and more New Age.
See, the thing is that this is interesting stuff. New Age and stuff like that. It is very, very interesting. But if your spirituality is going out in the desert trying to find orbs and stuff and white lights, which, like my brother, that's his research, but that's not his religion. He's not worshiping that stuff. My brother's just documenting it. But there are people that go and they are inviting these orbs into them, and I don't think all the orbs are evil. I think that they're interdimensional beings, and some are good and some are bad. And it doesn't mean that they have to be the light ones or the good ones. They're all angels. It's just some of them use their free will to fall, just like humans have free will as well. So the angel activity is these orbs, and more of that is going to happen. But we can do a video on how evil spirits and the demonic influences, the princes and the powers of the air of this current age, how they influence and how they can affect non-believers as well as believers that can be oppressed by these things. And often it's we're inviting the demon by doing certain, especially occult practices, as an example.
Things to bring in the tourist dollars. Now the native tribes are not happy about that. Even especially the traditionals. So whether you're a believer as a native person or whether you're traditional as a native person, the traditionalists are really having problems with the New Agers coming and commandeering these sacred sites. One perfect example is in 2012 at Serpent Mound. There's a group called the United Collective, or Unite the Collective, and they brought hundreds of these things called organites. And these organites, it's just they make them in these little muffin pans, and it's a blend of resin, metal shavings, and quartz crystals. And they believe that they can ignite and amplify energy and all these things with these things called organites. Well, these people from United Collective came to the Serpent Mound and buried hundreds of these all throughout the length of the serpent. Now, as far as I know, nobody's gotten in trouble for it, but that's violating the law. It's desecrating a sacred site. The native people really got upset by that, especially the Shawnee Nation. The Shawnee are the current caretakers of that site, which, by the way, the chief of the Shawnee said is the same thing, that they're not the ones who built it. So you've got a lot of focus from the New Agers on these sacred mounds, on these sacred sites. They are doing ceremonies. I guarantee you that as we're coming into these unholy days of the kingdom of darkness, you're going to find ceremonies, candlelit ceremonies, and things like this happening at these places. When we were there for Serpent Mound,
Guys, look at the Hollywood music now. How satanic it is. Look at the Super Bowl mid entertainment and stuff like that. Sam something, dressed as these are rituals. Music. There's a reason why music is a part of worship. That's why there's hymns sung in church. It's a way of praising. Okay. And that means that when tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people are standing there watching some, musician basically mock God and dress like a devil, and everyone's listening to it at one, that is a worship session. That is satanic to the core. All of this is the New Age are seeking out of curiosity, which is quite normal. But the true purpose here on earth is to become a new creation. We are fallen, and through Jesus Christ, we can be redeemed. That's the whole, purpose. That spiritual life should be about sanctification, should be the recognition of our evil inclination, recognition that our evil inclination can possibly be suppressed, controlled by our will to a certain extent, but that evil inside of us is never really gone. And that is only through the atoning sacrifice of Christ. And even then, we receive the Holy Spirit, we're still in the flesh, and we still have to fight the temptations of the devil. So it's only when we are brought to through the rapture to the resurrection that finally we don't have any of that that curse, that stain that is. Then that's how our relationship is corrected between man and God, and it is to come a literal millennial kingdom where Jesus Christ comes as King of Kings. It's his second coming. It explains, arrives on the Mount of Olives. The mountain is cracked in two from east to west. Water flows this way. Waters come out of Jerusalem from going to the Mediterranean. These are obviously first of all, they have not come to fruition, so they are to come. Jesus didn't accomplish any of it the first time. So Jesus accomplishes about 300 prophecies in his first coming as an atoning sacrifice. He's returning as a king. That king, okay, at that time when he came the first time, he said, my kingdom is not of this world. The kingdom of God was still up in heaven. But when he comes down here, he will set up his kingdom here. And already the curses and the blessings and stuff like that, people, just like Jesus was walking around and everyone was starting to learn who God was, but at the same time, he was healing people also. There will be a great healing that occurs when Christ comes. There will be a restructuring of the earth. Okay, there will be nations that survive the tribulations that come to Christ. The land that he promised to Abraham, okay, is yes a physical land. That's why there's always fighting over that tiny little Israel spot. That is we see it manifesting here, through various nationalities, but that's an ancient hatred between Ishmael and Isaac.
Conference with LA, we were outside praying. I absolutely believe that was a spiritual attack. A lot of times in the physical will manifest what's happening in the spirit world, and we've got to always be armored up. and I'm sure you armored up, but you know that there's one part of the armor of God that it doesn't mention, and that's our back. You know, but there's a verse that says that the glory of the Lord, that the glory of Creator is our rear shield. You know, so always remember that when you're armoring up and going into places like this, that you be prayed out from head to toe all over the place. So
Jake must have forgot that glory. You forgot that glory, Jake. You should have put it on, man. In the back of the Nephilim right there.
So there's a video that Eli Marzulli has that when we were praying, and
I don't want to go.
I had a shofar, or
maybe bounce around to see what's up here.
the reason why we're given these weapons of warfare. I don't mean, I'm mean to laugh sarcastically, my brothers and sisters, for you not being taught, but you really need to learn how to protect yourself, how to pray over yourself. I mean, you're just leaving yourself wide.
I think that's good enough. So, it's just to show this here, a Native American chief tells secrets about the ancient serpent mound. Ties in, how it really matches very well all of the Nephilim, the descriptions in the Middle East that were collected into the Bible. And then after you go to another continent, North America and stuff like that, you talk to the natives. They have similar experiences with giants. They talk about star people. And again, my job is to give you just an alternate possibility for you to have in the back of your mind. So if you do go onto the alien galactic, kind of thing, that's fine. But maybe you heard my version and keep an open mind, right? Because everyone's trying to make sure that they will not be deceived. Okay. Okay. So, evidence I've researched, please laugh out loud. Decades, it's all heresy. Okay. But you did tell me that you never read the New Testament as an adult. And please, you can come. No, actually, we should encourage your channel. So if you have evidence, okay, I've researched, please laugh out loud, decades, all hearsay. Sorry, I thought it was pretty much everything and anything you could throw out about history. So I don't believe that, but that person, that happened and this happened. I'm slowly building an archive of archaeological evidence. So one aspect is archaeological evidence. Then after, looking at the manuscripts, how do historians look at ancient manuscripts? Let's put it, and the same standards have been put on the Gospels and the other letters. Most scholars agree that they were written within the lifetime, okay, of the first eyewitnesses, with possibly one or two that were not eyewitnesses, but that sat down and interviewed Peter or the first eyewitnesses. So it really doesn't matter what I say. That's why I kind of, when it's going to come to archaeology and stuff like that, I'm probably going to be doing a lot of videos where I'm watching, or else it becomes hearsay. It's just, I'm Jason. I just study the Bible on my own. I do my own research. I read the Bible, go to church, try and see the different views and stuff like that. It's like, so I much would rather, if it's just Jason, or if it's just the other person on the other side of the screen, we're just, layman's when it comes to these kind of questions. I go to the academics. Because when you look at biblical archaeology, it sounds like it would be archaeologists that are all Christians. It's actually very secular and stuff like that. There's very few Christians actually in the scholarly biblical archaeology aspect. So there's a lot of evidence. It's the totality of it. It's not one thing that I would tell you that would be like eureka. Okay, people saw him get crucified, people saw the miracles they didn't believe, you know. So 2,000 years ago, yeah, quite understandable. I'm trying to offer peace, you know, just a peace that surpasses all understanding. Because right, so if reading the Bible is still hearsay, any single thing that is ever written, someone can say that's hearsay. Any and all of your scientific beliefs, have you gone to? I haven't. I'm just trying to prove a point. Have you gone to all of the academic research, the publications, the peer-reviewed? Have you looked at the peer reviews and the criticisms? Have you made sure that you know, that institution doesn't have conflicts of interest? And then all of that, you come to a well-researched. Do most people do that about science? No, they take whatever the headlines say. The scientist said that this is happening. Trust the scientist. Remember, that's the experience we had. That went really well, trusting the experts. Problem is that the experts, there's only the experts that sputter the narrative get a platform. So then other people say, look, science says that. Yeah, well, that's because the opposing view is not being given a narrative, or credibility immediately destroyed. The manuscripts were written very, very early. The most academics will say that we don't believe the claims that they're saying about Jesus in there. We don't believe in supernatural stuff. But we, historians, using the same standards as we would with any other stuff about Plato's writing, about Aristotle, Socrates, about all of Alexander, like how do we know Alexander the Great, you know, is true? Like he didn't write anything. People wrote about him. How do I know that there's ancient Greece, you know, pushed by Alexander ever happened? That's hearsay. What about this? That's hearsay too. Well, what about the Big Bang or any scientific institution that says that we came from a primordial soup, that we're just initially were molecules and stuff like that? Is that hearsay? Was a scientist there 15 billion years ago or 5 billion years ago, whenever, let's say? That's hearsay. So there is physical science that studies physical things, but there is things called historical science. There's all sorts of political science, science, and there are certain science that don't study things that are present. They use models and they use rates, and they put these into computers to make estimations. But if their presuppositions and assumptions are wrong when they put that into the model, because perhaps they're just by ignorance or bias, you come out with always the same results. And they just republish these things over and over, never allowing other experts to criticize the final calculations based on perhaps inaccurate inputs. All right. And I think that is it. I am going to have at 8 o'clock another stream. It will be about, it'll be with a friend that I met at church, Radu. I think his girlfriend might be there. And I just wanted to invite him to pretty much talk about how the heck did he end up becoming a stupid Christian, right? What happened to your brain? How did you get to believing in the spaghetti monster? This is how I feel sometimes people talk to me. I can't wait to publish the actual research in a medical journal so that when people tell me, but you're Christian and you can't do science because you have a religious mind, I'll be like, okay, tell me that when you publish something. All right. Okay, guys. So I'm going to cut this off and spend some time with the fam. And we will have another stream at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks a lot, guys. Greatly appreciated. Before I go, there will be the next stream that I'm going to do because we don't have enough time to do this. I wanted to talk about CERN. I wanted to continue and jump into that, but there was too much content. It took too long. So I'm trying to find. Oh, this one. He does a really good kind of compilation. So we will be watching this together, and then after we can stop, we can comment and stuff like that. This one, maybe I'll be able to talk and then invite people, and then we can just all muse about what we think about these things. All right, so this will be the next one. Really, goes deep into AI. Talk about the serpents. You guys can pre-watch it if you like too. Here's you're gonna see. It's all about transhumanism. Here's CERN. What exactly are they doing? Is it opening up a portal? Stargate, the movie, predictive programming. It always helps when I share the screen. So let me start over. I hate it when I forget. There's this one. So we're going to use that as a launching pad into a cool discussion of hidden agendas, the CERN, AI, aliens, transhumanism. This is coming, guys. It's going to be overwhelming. There's going to be fighting on every level. It says, children will be disobedient to their parents. People's hearts will grow cold. We look at Revelation that there's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. We look at seals being broken. We look at it and it's broken, and it says, and there was made then basically one of the seals or the horsemen happens, and then this spirit of that makes people want to kill themselves arrives and stuff like that. We will see. It's already started. A lot of people already feeling overwhelmed. But yes, it's going to be overwhelming because there's going to be an ancient war between Ishmael and Isaac, the 2 sons of Abraham, over land. Okay, there's Yahweh that's saying, I'm setting up Jesus when he comes on that land. So there's a divine issue, Armageddon and stuff like that. All the nations are coming against Israel at the end of time. That's over and over and over in all the Old Testament. The 90%, 95% of biblical eschatology differ where the rapture is, but all know that eventually we're raptured, and then the church is with Christ, and then Christ returns when the Jews open their eyes, or he opens their eyes with giving them grace and supplication. They mourn from the one that because they see the one that they pierced. It has nothing to do with the church that's raptured at that time. The church is gone. The church returns with him at the great day of the Lord. And Israel has been regathered, and that's prophetic, guys. That's so prophetic. Okay, I can show you in the in Ezekiel. Anyways, I was researching those passages. Clearly, there are more messianic prophecies of Jesus's second return than there were of his first, which was about 300 prophecies fulfilled in 3.5 years. There's double. There's about 600 prophecies waiting to be fulfilled, and all of that is happening in the Middle East. This battle. However, globally, okay, there will be a beast system that is subjecting, people, okay, AI controlled, technocracy being pushed, and then genetic manipulation, and then, signs in the sky, stars, and our galactic brothers, they're coming, because look at the chaos. They're coming to save us, fallen angels. So you can imagine that it says even the elect, meaning even the most discerning may be tricked or deceived. LA, if you, I won't write it. LA goes, personally, I want out. I was just going to tease you and say, well, if you want out, you could become a Christian and get raptured out of here. Okay. See you guys. See you around. See you at 8 o'clock, I think. Thanks for showing up. Really appreciate it.